If you made, can you live? Yeah, it's live
Yes.
stream now. Hare Krishna.
We're okay? All right. So, well, I'm very happy to introduce my dear friend, Krishna Kumari Prabhu. Um, she joined very young in Brooklyn Temple. Um, she came, to visit, very sort of open and innocent girl, and come to the Brooklyn Temple morning programs. So, and since then, well, she and her husband, Janardana Prabhu, became very, very strong disciples of Srila Baswami. Um, they, for many years, were in charge of organizing the Vyasa Puja festivals for Srila Baswami. And they did this beautiful, beautiful job. I remember 1999, Krishna Kumari. I think um, I was traveling. I have the opportunity to travel with Srila Baswami to India, and he was just commenting, just telling me how happy he was, with the whole organization of the Vyasa Puja. At that time, it used to be the Vyasa Puja in Brooklyn. And also, I think when they started in Chicago, she also used to come to Chicago and organize it.
Not me. No,
So,
Chicago in
right?
my whole life.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Chicago
And
in my whole life.
oh,
That
not in Chicago. No,
no,
no, no.
Shaggy.
Then
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes, yes. Then my memory. But one of the beautiful characteristics of Krishna Kumari is that is her generosity, and you know, she's an advocate for well-being, and the type of how she extend herself to others, and how she shares the desire to actually live a life that is wholesome, not only spiritual but also materially, is quite remarkable, and she touches so many people from that perspective. She have raised a beautiful family, and she's one of the pioneers of one of the most fantastic communities of devotees in upstate New York. Um, it's a community that has attracted, and there's great souls, Prabhupada disciples who live within that community. Um, His Holiness Sasru Goswami, Sasru Das Goswami, His Holiness Ravinda Swarup Prabhu and his wife. Um, His Holiness Danodar Swami is around that area too. Uh, Her Grace Kalindi Prabhu was there. I mean, it was amazing community of devotees that you know are dedicated to hear and chant and to associate together. So anyway, I'm quite Krishna Kumari have a big space in my heart, and as a devotee, as a god sister, as a friend, and I always feel very happy just to see her. So that's for an introduction. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And couple of things I can do, like, so. Well, first time I called, so Mother Krishna Kumari was in a book reading call, and next time, like yesterday, today also, just in the morning, she was doing some service of cow protection and other things. So Mother Krishna Kumari is involved in many other services also. So welcome, Mataji, and the floor is yours. So please share the glories of Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Srila Ramapada Swami, lover of Radha Govinda, servant of Srila Prabhupada, very practical servant of Prabhupada. He always wants to do everything properly and pleasing for Prabhupada. Srila Ramapada Swami has big desires still for us to fulfill. So all glories to Srila Ramapada Swami. Yeah, and thank you, Subal, for being here. It warms my heart. So I did meet the devotees, and I was a very free and young person. I had a friend who died in a car accident, not due to drinking. I did go to concerts in the city. My parents let me do lots of things, and I was looking for answers as to, the question that Ramapada always says, the number one question, why do bad things happen to good people? So that was really what brought me searching. And I had a friend who sat in front of me in homeroom, and he dropped out of high school and moved in Radha Govinda Mandir. I lived in a very affluent Long Island, New York, upscale. I lived on the water. My father was a hard worker. He fixed oil burners, but he provided for us to live amongst, doctors, lawyers, that kind of thing. And so somehow my friend kept inviting me to the temple, and I had this kind of idea that when I went to Radha Govinda Mandir, it would be more like the New York City post office or something, have all these stairs. You'd be like, and there'd be like this very unapproachable space. But I finally got to go in 1991, and it was Janmashtami, Shri Radha Govinda Dev. He stole my heart. There was kirtans like no other in New York. I mean, Rati, Urjaswat, Subal, Prabhu. It was like such a rich, soul kissing, experience, Janmashtami. And as a young person, maybe I was 16 at the time, I stayed up all night, and I cleaned the Prashadam hall, which was the bingo hall, and some other young people and we stayed up all night doing service. And I don't know where they ended up, but the next morning I was in the temple room for Mangalartik. I hadn't slept. And then I noticed it, it got dark and quiet, and then everybody was chanting. So I just sat on the ground, and His Grace Subal Prabhu came up to me and gave me japa beads. And he taught me how to chant on them. And I've been chanting ever since. So pretty powerful space. And I think it's very clear that Ramapada Swami was very instrumental in that space. He really did care for me as well as all those who came. I'll go into a little bit. I don't know if I'll skip around and not be in chronology, but one thing, just when I'm talking about it, comes to mind is years later, I had run 26 Second Avenue, and there'd be different things happening, but one time I was worried because there was these kind of antagonists that would come that would ask questions just to and I warned him, and he says, "Oh no, I like all questions." Like those are his favorite, And another time there was other festivals happening, like other swamis were visiting, and I was feeling bad, like, Ramapada Maharaj, what if, no one comes? There's this swami speaking here and that swami. And he said, "Oh, great. More Krishna consciousness is happening." So he never impressed upon me that he thought what he was sharing was more important. He was just so happy that Krishna and Bhagavad Gita and Srila Prabhupada's message was being shared. So, yeah, I finished out high school wearing a sari and tilak. I would go to the Freeport Temple, which Srila Prabhupada Swami has just saved recently, and I guess he's going to be there tomorrow. He's going to be with Radha Govinda today. I saw on his schedule he's taking darshan, and yeah, and tomorrow he will be doing initiations in Freeport, Long Island, and this is a temple that years after I had moved upstate New York. I guess the devotees that follow Ritvik, they tried to usurp it, but Prabhupada Swami was steadfast, and it's back in Srila Prabhupada's hands in ISKCON. So, yeah, but as a young girl, I went to high school in a sari, tilak. I mean, where I lived, nobody knew what that meant. I even invited I met some book distributors at the DMV once, and I invited them to come park their Winnebago on my road. And my neighbors, they didn't know what to make. My mother told me just 5 years ago that they thought it was very strange that I went in to see this man in my getup, meaning I had a sari on. They just didn't know what to make of, any of it. So in those years of the year of my senior year of high school, I would go to the temple every weekend. I would have to leave. I worked on the weekends as well. So I would stay. I learned many things. Prabhupada Swami kind of led one party of the ladies and preaching, and then Mother Jadharani led the other party for these different kinds of preaching. And I was very fortunate to be able to get Jadharani's association. I was encouraged in art. I showed her my paintings. And even in that time, while I was still in high school, Prabhupada Swami engaged me. We had these wonderful dioramas. They still exist of the changing bodies. Sometimes the little boy would be cracked or the man's arm was broken off, and he would, have me take care of them. I'd get clay and fix them and paint them. And he also had many deities that he wanted to give to people, but I guess they had been in storage. So he gave me Jagannath deities to paint and Gornitai deities to mend and repaint. And I think Prabhupada Swami, he never, thought that any service was not important. Everything should be taken care of nicely. And engaging in any way, get these young people, get these old people, get everyone to do some service. So he was very practical in both taking care of what Prabhupada had given him, and also, I think many of us take pride in our items, that we own. But then the things that go to the temple, there maybe those Bhagavad Gitas don't look so nice. But Prabhupada Swami wanted to make sure that even the items that lived in the temple, those were Krishna's. And I think he saw everything in that way, and still does, to really take care of and not just have something go to waste. So somehow some misfortune happened to me. One time I was at a Sunday feast, and a devotee publicly wanted to acknowledge, I always took the train home from Brooklyn, but he publicly wanted to, announce that he could give me a ride home. And this devotee left me off in Freeport, which was a very bad area. And I got choked and attacked at the train station there where he had left me. And it was a very traumatic time in my life, as I wasn't even 18 yet. And I had some recovery in dealing with it, but right away Prabhupada Swami made sure that I could speak with
Hemalata.
Hemalata. Yeah, I love that name. And so Hemalata was a therapist, a older woman. She's still amazing, helping people. And also an African American woman. So at that time, Rompad Swami's disciples were very vast in their varieties of bodies and species. And Hemalata gave me a lot of care and guidance. And Rompad Swami really wanted to make sure that not just I was serving Krishna and being engaged, but that actually my emotional well-being was also being taken care of. I remember finally going back to the temple, after that incident, and there was this I was going up the stairs of the temple. It was very dark, and out of this hall, there was light on in there, and he just happened to be coming out from there, and I'll tell you what he says about this. But when he was coming out of there, there was this whole aura around him, and even his body was, from my vision, was pixelated. And I really got the sense that here is somebody that is sharing truth. And at that moment, I knew that he was my spiritual master. In later years, I did see, and I still see these things. When even, some ordinary person is speaking real truth, I get this sense of colors I see and things of that nature. And I remember telling Rompad Swami, and he said, "Oh, that's very nice, but don't get off the elevator there." So, that's not the highest. You might. I'm not very good with this technology. I have you guys on top of a French salt shaker and against a peacock candle. Anyway, yeah, he said, don't get off the elevator there. These things exist, but that's not where I want to put my attention. I want to put my attention in devotion and bhakti and in serving Krishna. So I don't know. I have so many things I could share about Rompad Swami. When I graduated high school, I feel like I'm talking more about myself. I graduated high school the next day. I moved into Radha Govinda Mandir under Rompad Swami's direction. We did unlimited preaching events. It was like endless. There was always these fast samosas being made in the kitchen out of it was just for multiple, huge events. So they were even made out of store-bought tortillas, and we would seal them with this water and flour. Anyway, Rompad Swami was so into prasadam distribution. It was a way to raise funds, but we went to the gay parade and we served out there. And then we would also go to the Javits Center, which is very elegant. And we had a booth there every year with books and with prasadam. And there we would do the New Age Festival. So there were people there taking pictures of auras and all kinds of talks on health and spirituality. And Rompad Swami made sure that we were represented there. We were there with people that were really searching for the ultimate expo, Krishna. And he wanted everything to be first class. And he also wanted us to really, really be kind and personable with those that we interacted with at these festivals. And he actually came personally and served at these festivals as well. Rompad Swami had a very big vision, and I know it's dear to his heart, since our temple did get sold in New York City some years ago, I guess in the early 70s. and Radha Govinda got a little displaced and then ended up in Brooklyn at Radha Govinda Mandir. But he really had a mission. I've never seen him in non-devotional clothes, but one time, and must have been in the early 90s, and his outfit was from 1965, I swear. I hope he doesn't get mad for me sharing this. It was like a brown tweed plaid jacket and pants. It was his best attire, and he was going to meet with real estate. So this was early 90s. He really wanted Radha Govinda to go back to New York City at that time, and he had a big vision for a cultural center. He wanted Radha Govinda to also have a facility to host these kind of seminars and educational things, and have the arts, the Bharatanatyam and the plays that were very pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. I don't believe Rampat Swami was ever in a play, but the great Rasagya and others, they performed for Sri Sri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada's pleasure. And I think that Rampat Swami really felt that a cultural center was really what was needed most in New York. Maybe it was the same flavor. Jadharani now actually is in Miami Beach, and she has an art. She's right there with the artists. She's got a gorgeous center there, and really meeting people through the arts, that their attraction for the arts. Rampat Swami's vision was also to really host intelligent businessmen and their meetings and like that. I'll get into some maybe practical things. Rampat Swami really wanted us to check the oil in the car. So if you were going on a trip, you always check the oil. So when Rampat Swami joined, I guess he joined, I don't know if it was a Volkswagen Bug, but Rampat Swami, he was educated, and I don't think he was a hippie by any means. Actually, Balavanta, I just met with him last month. Balavanta said that him and Rampat Swami, they might have been in Boston or something. And I can't remember the exact quote, but Balavanta said Rampat Swami at that time, he wasn't a Swami, brahmachari. He said to Balavanta, "We're the only normal ones here." So Rampat Swami wasn't a hippie, but he did tell us stories of like giving a flower to somebody at school, and like he's wanting to share love, in his heart, even as a youngster before he met the devotees. So when Rampat Swami joined, he had some kind of vehicle, might have been a Volkswagen Bug, and he just gave it to the temple. They blew it up. They didn't change the oil, and the engine blew on it. And he was very very much wanted to make sure that those kinds of things didn't happen with Krishna's paraphernalia. So there's this great devotee, Anuttama. There's two of them, but one is Anuttama, the mechanic, and he also lived with Maharaj in Henry Street, and he became the car mechanic for because he knew a little something. And now this year I spent some good time with him. He would buy Rampat Swami's cars, even in the 80s and 90s, for preaching. So if we needed a truck or a van, or just a car for transporting devotees. So there was like the Bogaran van, and then there was the Harinam truck, which was very important. Actually, it became known as the Bliss Mobile in New York City. Subal spent a lot of time on the back of that flatbed, and I also helped paint it. And it was a golden truck. And it had pillars that went up and a canopy. yellow with lotuses painted on it. And I guess in the 90s, Rompa Swami, you know, the numbers were probably a little lower for devotees serving in the way of like moving into temples. I think I was an anomaly out of all my friends living in the ashram. But he had these devotees come from Calcutta so that this Harinam truck, that Harinam could go on every day. And Subal, myself, others, we would go out on this truck with a bucket of prasadam. We'd go over the bridge on the back of an open truck. I don't know how it happened, how it was legal. Yeah, we would go slowly up and down the streets of New York City doing Harinam. And this truck was so important to Rompa Swami. He made sure that this truck was cared for. And then in the winter, it would be stored properly at Gita Nagri, somewhere very nice, so that, you know, things wouldn't go wrong. So that was another part. Rompa Swami would also lend out the vehicles to devotees doing services like the shelter band. At the time, the hardcore music, that was a way a lot of Krishna consciousness did get spread through shelter. And they had a drummer named Tony, and I don't know how many times I had to go to the pound and get Rompa Swami's vehicle. He would park it on the wrong side of the street. So Rompa Swami is very much wanted everything. He didn't want to waste Krishna's money. He didn't want us to get tickets. He definitely didn't want the car impounded. And yeah, many times I was having to clean up other devotees' messes. I'd have to say that Rompa Swami was so available as he is today. Even today, I did email him this week. You know, sometimes it's actually within minutes he responds to my messages. In Radha Govinda Mandir, in his office, if his door was open, and it was open often, it was only closed if he was having a private meeting, but he had his door open. Krishnarchana and Danishta, they had it so that there was this nice bench in his office that was very, very beautifully upholstered. And it was made so that you felt welcome to come on in, you know, and have a seat. So sometimes, you know, devotees would come pay their obeisance on the floor, but if he really wanted to, you know, speak with you, he'd ask you to sit on the bench, and it would sit two people. But his door was open, and you know, it's just like Krishna, you know, he is on the other side of the door for us, and he wants us to open it. You know, he's always there for us, and he just wants us to open it. So Rompa Swami, he didn't just open his door to Krishna, but he had his door open for us all the time. And many times, you know, I'd go in there with little things, sometimes big things. And I'm a person that I would lose my train of thought, and he would really encourage me to continue. You know? At least 5 occasions, I saw Rompa Swami at his desk, and he was listening, but he would quietly be watching the buzzing fly. And he would quietly bring his hand up and scoop up the fly. He wouldn't stop talking to you. He would still continue in his thought. And he would turn around. He'd open his little window, and he'd let the fly out the window and close it back up. You know, I don't know if any of you have tried catching flies. You know, sometimes in the winter they're a little slower. And you know, I've done my share. I live in the country. My cows are covered in flies. Just yesterday, I was there with my daughter, and you know, there's tons and tons of flies. Now, there's certain varieties of flies that are a little slower, but these flies that Rompa Swami would catch were not slow flies. They were like New York City flies, you know. You know, I don't know how many eyes they have, but I really get the sense that, you know, that Rompa Swami, in his awareness, not just of what he was doing, but his surroundings, being in New York, and just really wanting to be the most upright and serve Prabhupada the best that he could. Something else Balavanta did tell me just like last month when I saw him was just that, ISKCON and Prabhupada's movement is still very much in a experimental stage, right? We might easily look around and say this devotee did this crazy thing, this one did that, but it's like to bring Gaudiya Vaishnavism, these Westerners. I mean, and to have these young men really renounce and do everything, give up everything and do everything, take on disciples and so many things. It's just miraculous. I know for myself, when I hear devotees talking about different things that really actually shaped my decisions for raising children, but like things of child abuse and these things that really did go on. And I'm always sitting there thinking like, what could happen to anyone, like any one of us could make these mistakes, not those horrible things. But I'm always taken back that, thinking like, I don't want to be proud, but thinking, wow, Rompat Swami, like I never have to worry. I really don't have to worry. And I don't have to question, what he's done or not done. I know I've seen him around the clock, how simple he would rest, how he took on this whole Ayurvedic thing, like with such intention, to not eat burfi and all these things, like very meticulous, but also because he wanted to serve Prabhupada longer and better, Like some of us, we get distracted, we'll start exercising and then we're going to the gym. But he had some kind of like stationary bike that he just did his thing to do his thing. It wasn't like to get his rounds chanted on the bike or something like that, us common people would do. Yeah. So I was going to just talk about one quote that I really love from Rompat Swami. He said not to have expectations. So this I can bring into, the past and I could still hear him saying it. I think it was at an Ishtagosti up in Srila Prabhupada's museum after one Vyasa Puja. And he said it over and over again, not to have expectations, but he would say like, oh, if there was a child in here right now and they, made some noise, it would be like, you wouldn't be shocked, like, it's normal, So he said, if someone else did something, then, maybe. So I really have taken this to heart, and I quote it to people all the time about not having expectations. I like to use a different example, like on your birthday, somebody gives you flowers, you're like, okay, thank you. Like, you expect to get gifts, but when somebody gives you flowers on a day that's not your birthday, then it's like, it's really moving. It's like, wow, you thought of me. So I think just maybe 4 or 5 years ago, my daughter, she was still in high school, so she had to read The Great Expectations. So I looked up online for Rompat Swami because he did a course for the college students on, The Great Expectation and Bhagavad Gita. So this course was at some university in America. And, I was hoping like, oh, we're going to get some good points here. And, if you've read The Great Expectations, then you maybe have some concept, but Rompat Swami thought he was going to make these, correlations, but everyone in the class was from India. And he ended up spending a lot of the time explaining what the book, The Great Expectations, was about. I don't think that's what he wanted to do. But yeah, I do think it's important, like not to have expectations, moving through our lives. So I've definitely made that part of my my life. Rupa Swami, he really cared for us, and he wanted us to get proper training. There's in present day, if I said, oh, I want to open a blueberry farm, he'd say, first grow some blueberry bushes. If you think like, oh, I want to be a better devotee, well, then you want to write down, what does a better devotee do, and how many times you're going to do that a day. It's like, it's one thing to say something. Also, I remember one time my husband and I going to see him, and I don't know what the question was. He said, are you asking me to give you an answer? Or are you just asking me to give you a stamp of approval? Do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? Or do you want to know what I want? I think, So I think Rompa Swami, he's seen it all, and he kind of has this, yeah. Anyway, this way of kind of, not just reading the room, but his disciples, he knows us, he knows our shortcomings, and he doesn't give up on us. He wrote me a lovely email this week about the landscape of my life changing as my children are growing. And, I do see myself stepping into something much bigger for preaching. My children are so important to me, but I really feel like Rompa Swami's guidance with me helped me to be a better parent, to be very present, to encourage them in what their specific dharma was, what their likes and dislikes are. So he isn't very good with children around. My daughter still has a very big samskara of when we had him come to a yoga center, and the children, like in our world, the children, they play and they're in the background and they're a part of our world. And he made a big impression on her. He told the kids they shouldn't be playing. And, that's kind of been a little sore spot for her. That he doesn't have so much, well, I've been to lots of things in Tawako, and then, in Central Jersey. I mean, kids were their distraction, but parents were not so distracted. So even this year's Vyasa Puja, I turned it right on when there was, like you were saying, why don't you have a sound system so the parents that can handle noises are in a room with the kids? So yeah, that's one thing that has been a little difficult for me. But when I was my daughter's age, that she is now, I was personally trained by Rompa Swami, and now she's also gone to Krishna House. She really wants to serve, and I think it was 1995. Rompa Swami personally arranged for me to go to Germany to learn. He actually made all the arrangements. He arranged who was going to pick me up in India on that whole trip. He arranged for me to go to England, and see about the businesses. He said that if you wanted, I guess in that time, Subal, Krishnarchana, Krishna Leela, myself, we were really working to open a day school in Brooklyn. Just seeing how these schools of the past didn't really pan out, and how to create something that really would be nourishing. And he said, in order to have a community, you need to have a school, a business, You need to have some way for, the devotees to have an income together. And, then you need to have the center focus, for everyone. So, yeah, he had sent me to England and then Germany. Personally, I think I was personally picked up in Germany by even Satchidananda Swami himself. I was there to learn about Namahatas and how they were doing them in Wiesbaden, Germany. And yeah, Germany was a whole nother picture for me. There, the brahmacharis, they couldn't hand you the ghee lamp. They put it down on a table, but then they would open the door to the women's ashram in their lungi, and the ladies are in their like choli and skirts. So I thought it was a little, this is an uncensored video, by the way. I'm probably not your normal guest. But I learned a lot there in what Ronpad Swami wanted me to in visiting the home programs and just seeing how important it is, not just to outreach and just keep outreaching and just keep, meeting new people, but actually to take care of the ones we have. And that's been very important to me and my Krishna consciousness. Love the one you're with, really be present, see through that the devotees that are, having a baby, that you're bringing them meals, the devotee that's in the hospital, that, they're getting visits. Yeah, when I was a young devotee living in the temple, Ronpad Swami had me go visit this one young man. Well, he was much older than us, but he was dying. His name was Ganesham. And that also made a very big impression on me to want to care for those that are actually exiting as well. That time is, it's not just important for us to support those who are leaving the planet, but also for us to witness that and to be a conduit and receive, the unlimited glories that Krishna is present, for everyone. And nobody's samadhi looks the same. Nobody's perfection is going to look the same. So yeah, Ronpad Swami also then organized on that trip for me to be picked up in India. I was traveling by myself in India. I went on the Navadvip Parikrama, which was really enlivening. I would say that time I had in Mayapur, I don't know if it's because Ronpad Swami personally arranged it for me, but that time in Mayapur actually like sits as this like inner sanctum, for my whole being. I haven't been back to Mayapur since 1995. It's been 30 years, but what I received there, doing regular service, going to the places, I still have a flower from Yoga Pit. I know Ronpad Swami really wants us to be able to go to these places. He, in his classes, he really wants us to be able to, if we can't physically go, he wants us to be able to go to these places in our mind. He had me work, before there was any of this technology, he had me draw maps of Govardhan for his slideshow. Before they existed, like maps. And, so I drew the shape of the peacock and all the places at Govardhan. And, these little services I got to do, they make such an impact on the importance. In those earlier years, I got to serve at 26 2nd Avenue when we first got it back in 91. as a tirtha, a center. There's something also happened there of just really getting to know Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada Swami. Before I even think wanted to take initiation, he really wanted me to hear from Srila Prabhupada. He wanted me to read the teachings of Queen Kunti. I'm actually revisiting that this year with a group of friends that I joined with. We meet on Monday nights and just read the teachings of Queen Kunti. Prabhupada Swami wanted me to study the Guru-disciple relationship book. And he was willing to accept me as a disciple. I mean, it's like pretty amazing. I don't know if it was some kind of false humility or something, but there was one round of initiations and I said I wasn't ready yet, and I did wait till the following year. It was quite a big initiation that year. It was on the day after Rath Yatra, a Bimal Ekadashi. You're fasting all day. It was like a hot year in New York. It was like 99, something like that. But it never ends there, Prabhupada Swami wants us to keep learning. If you're going to take Brahmin initiation, he wants you to study the Bhakti Shastri. He really encouraged my husband and I to do that. And maybe you'll get my husband on here one day. He's a very much, some people call him a Prabhupada man. He never skips a beat. He chants all his rounds. He wakes the deities. He's much more keeps to himself. But I sought out my husband. He was at the time Bhakta Jerry. And we were running 26. I was running 26 Second Avenue with another devotee, Prema Bhakti. And at that time, I'll give you some more background as to how New York was. This isn't just about Prabhupada Swami. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But New York was in a learning phase. They would actually shoo away devotees that were following, another kind of lineage. If you were following Narayan Raj or I don't know, any of them, I don't want to specifically say, but my husband had somebody, he was in a band, and his manager was a devotee, a Prabhupada disciple. I would even buy him drinks and taught him how to chant. And then my husband gave up everything to chant. And they were following through Kirtananda at the time. And I feel like, Second Avenue was this place where everyone was welcome. Like Prabhupada didn't close the door just because you were following some offshoot, And I opened the doors there for anyone, Ritviks, anyone. Just, it wasn't like they give class, but they were all welcome, and Prabhupada's mercy was there. And so, my husband at the time, he was following in the line of Radhanath Swami, and I wanted to marry him, and Prabhupada Swami tried to send him away. My heart was broken. But my husband, he understood that he needed to get training, and he surrendered to Srila Prabhupada Swami. And Prabhupada Swami is very practical. He says, you're going to marry her? How are you going to work? How are you going to provide for her? He made sure not just that his spiritual life and his dedication to Prabhupada and ISKCON were there, but that actually he could also provide for a family. And my husband's very dutiful, and he's provided, it's not easy, but he's provided for us above and beyond. And never grateful to him and his example of surrender to Prabhupada Maharaj. And Yeah. So we also used to I also used to organize the retreats to Gitanagari. Prabhupada Swami, I think he really had a gift for lining up topics, not just that like he was into, but also looking at the audience. At that time, the Gitanagari retreats pulled people from DC. We ended up having Bhakti Tirtha Swami come to the temple for the first time there with his group. Also because of open arms, not thinking, our way or the highway. We also pulled from Boston, and we had a lot of young kids come, seekers, and the retreats were very rich. It was kind of like you didn't want to leave Gitanagari. We had Mother Kalini there. Prabhupada Swami always made sure he took care of Gitanagari farm. He even bought them new washing machines and dryers. He made sure that the furnace wasn't polluting anyone. It wasn't just that we were coming there and they were hosting us. He wanted us to be a part of Gitanagari's legacy. We're not this, we just come visit, we get some inspiration, we go home. But he always made sure that he gave to the structure. And yeah, I think back in those days we had many different speakers. We had Satsurt Maharaj, Ravinder Sarup, over the years, many vast, exciting talks. He also arranged for there to be a women's group, things that I think, my husband always says is like, we don't really go to Prabhupada Swami for the nitty gritty, like how to do this, or how to pay the bills. I mean, he's there for our spiritual life. I think he knows we need other things. And he wants to make sure that we have those other relationships to maybe work those things out. And I feel like, with this expansive group, you all, you have each other, and you can really lean in on each other. I think Prabhupada Swami really, really wants that he's not the end all and be all, like that you learn from where you need to. And more, I think he really wants us to be asking him about Krishna Leela and, devotional topics. So, yeah, my life has been a devotional offering to him, but a lot of the smaller things I haven't really engaged with him on. And I think he appreciates that. And some other things I do bring to his attention, and he's not very interested in, the things that are happening in ISKCON or, something of that realm. So I think, yeah, just taking advantage of what he has for me. I'm just eager to hear more, and I hope to hear from all of you. Guru Mahar Swami ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mother Krishna Kumari, for sharing the details. So I invite anyone wants to ask anything. So you're sharing with so many personal exchanges and things with Maharaj was amazing to hear. And even, yeah, we are welcome to hear about Srila Prabhupada's whole family. So it's nothing like that we only wanted to hear about Maharaj only. And then, so you are always welcome to share more and in future also. And as you also mentioned, to invite your good husband, so we'll request him also. And if you can give his contact details and email, so I'll communicate with him and see what time will work, and we'll figure out. And yeah, if anyone would like to ask, yeah, so there is already a hands up. Shri Padma Manjari Mataji want to ask. So yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Krishna, dear Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj, and worship Sri Prabhupada. I just come a little bit of your and I really wish I could have.
I'm gonna mute myself. We can't hear you.
I just caught a little bit of what you said because I just joined, but I really wish I could have heard every single thing. But what really stand out to you is Guru Maharaj when you said that he really wants us to ask devotional questions and do devotional things that makes him happy, and your life is a service for him. So that really, inspired me. That little talk that you said really inspired me. And in my day-to-day life, I think that's one of them I can put in my goals and my diary, because life gets caught up so much when you're in the material world and have your duty. So thank you for saying that little snippet that I heard. So thank you so much for sharing. Meditation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. May I go? I wanted to share.
Yes, please. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. I have met you earlier, probably in the seminar of Making Bhakti Matter. I have seen you there. Did you? I hope I'm right. Did you come into that? Gopika Kanta Mataji's seminar.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I
Children are
and Subha
important
Prabhu. Sorry.
Children are the most important thing to me. All children. I'm
Yes.
very involved in yes, and creating camps, and I do puppet shows. Even when I travel, I bring a puppet show, and the
Oh,
children
wonderful.
really need the magic. Their pressure is put on children today.
Yes, Mataji. So, yeah, and Subal Prabhu had suggested us to join that one because we were also in education here in Kishori Temple. So, yeah, I never knew that I will meet you in this way ever, knowing first time that you're my god sister. So, and I loved the simplicity with which you were sharing everything, and you were also enjoying in between, like you were laughing and you were just going into those moments probably. So that was very endearing to see, Mataji. And from your talks, I also understood, and one more time it was re-emphasized that how much Guru Maharaj wants all of us to come to Krishna consciousness. As you were sharing that you were new and Maharaj wanted you to do Guru disciple, I mean that read the book and do Bhakti Shastri. So uh, I mean someone might get into this illusion that okay, they want me as a disciple or something, but this is really really Maharaja's willingness, that following in footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, that he wants to bring for our benefit. That was really heart moving, and humility of Guru Maharaj. And I was also thinking that all these memories that you are sharing, and Akhildhar Prabhu is bringing many speakers on this forum. So we are getting to know, like we are getting to tap more into Guru Maharaj's nature, compassion, empathy, because now he has so many disciples that we don't get that kind of, personal interaction so much. And we have to just guess the things sometimes, and our guesses are always wrong. We are speculating on so many things. So this is a protection for us also, and hearing these talks from all of you, to go into right direction, thinking about Guru Maharaj, and not really see from our like material eyes, how, because like when you shared about how he said that children, you don't play, right? So that time I realized that he has his own personality as well. I mean, where he's also trying to do improve the service, and now also like if a child is crying or something, then he's like hoping that parents will take care of this. because so that everybody can hear well and the lecture can be delivered in a proper way. So yes, he has his own personality as well, and also like he wants to do the services more in a better way. So all these things are helping us, Mataji, so much from your and earlier speaker sharings also. And I can't say enough that you had been so fortunate to get Guru Maharaj's so much personal association and personal training. So we are so fortunate to come in contact with all of you. And I'm so happy that Subal Prabhu and Krishna Archana Mataji come to ISKCON Chicago, where we go and we can take more and more association of them. So thank you so much, Mataji, for
Yeah,
all
the
your
first
sharing.
class. Chicago is so lucky to have them.
Yes.
You know,
Indeed.
there's so much Shri, there's so much beauty, you know, the prosperities that, you know, that most of us need to see. Subal and Krishna Archana Prabhu, they exhibit, you know,
Yes.
the Vasu and the Shri, the strength, the beauty, yeah,
Yes.
the knowledge. Mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Getting to know more and more about them as well. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So, and I'm just doing a tiny part of it. Like there are many other people like Pradyumna Prabhu and under the guidance of Jagdanand Prabhuji, and actually we are discussing with Subal Prabhuji for the speakers and everyone. So yeah, everyone is. I'm just playing a small part here and there, but yeah, and also like hearing like we don't value that much because we are born in India and getting flowers and all those things, but you are sharing about that you have kept the flowers from Yoga Pitha from received in 1995 and you are treasuring it like anything. So for us actually initial days I remember in during Krishna consciousness initial days when we get Radha Shyam Sundar's garland or something from Vrindavan, then we keep them and we hang them and dry them and keep them. But uh, slowly and gradually, like maybe familiarity or other things, we don't value those things that much. But we can understand how you, even though you are from Western cultures and other thing, but how you values and respect all those things. So many things to learn and how Guru Maharaj is sending you to the last moments of disciple Ghanshyam Prabhuji and to see how to pass their final lessons and all and so many sharings of yours are very very valuable. Thank you for all those things. And anyone likes to share anything?
I want to just say that you actually are the perfect one for this service because I don't think anyone will say no to you when you ask them to come. You're very sweet and endearing. Thank you. Thank you for asking me to join the group.
Thank you, Mother, for your sharing your time and with us. So, Prabhuji, if you want to share anything,
Well, you have the task to see if you can invite Janardana Prabhu. He's wonderful. And so give it a good try. And there's one thing that Krishna Kumara, you brought me back in time because I always remember Shirapaswami capturing the flies, you know. And for me, that was like, you know, I always say so Shirapaswami as someone with mystic powers, you know. It's like I will be like with my mouth open, you seeing like same, like just exactly as you're describing. We're talking, and then all of a sudden he goes like sup and capture the fly and then throw it out of the window. It's like to me, I was like, he's Superman. He is just he's a mystic, you know, to be able to do all these things and to be able not only to have such an just exactly as you said, such an awareness of the space without missing a beat of what you're talking and what he's saying to you is like it's incredible. Shiva Swami is quite an amazing individual.
Yeah, actually, one anecdote I can share, like 2001 or 2002 time, Maharaj once visited Indore. Only once he visited. So at the time, so we offered a garland to Guru Maharaj, and uh, there was some caterpillar or some bug on the flower. So Maharaj kept it, and some devotees he kept his hand like that, and so some devotee like Abhishek Randhar Prabhu was there in Indore. So he thought Maharaj is giving something. So he was accepting like prasad, and then Maharaj gave him the that insect, and he just dropped him out. So yeah, just I recalled that thing also. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. So thank you very much.
I guess
And
there's one more interesting thing, that I think we
yeah,
could all learn from, a very small thing, but all of us are working on our japa, right? And back then, there weren't these stupid phones, these unintelligent phones that, were lurking everywhere. But during japa time, Rompad Swami, he had his bag next to him, and he was very upright, and he would chant. And I think if some thought floated in his head, he'd get out his notebook, he'd write it down, close the book, and go right back to chanting.
Right.
So I think this, is very important for us, this kind of importance to our chanting. That is, it's like the gopis, they think they're only one dancing with Krishna, in this age, we're to see that everyone's has this relationship with Krishna, but we really want to make sure that we're present for our relationship with Krishna. And just today's world and all the distractions, I just think of Rompad Swami and how important that time is, that we don't just let it pass by. It's really important that morning time and our japa, and to have that kind of discipline, to just come right back to the chanting and to stay with it. So yeah.
thank you, Mother. So we'll end on this sweet note of yours, and as Guru Maharaj also mentioned, Madhuram Samapiyet. So thank you for coming, and you also want to share further more details of your life, then you can take second turn. So also, so thank you very much for joining us. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj Shila Prabhupada. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo cha patranam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for tolerating me and giving you the picture of New York, but I think it just tells a little bit more about, Rompad Swami really had to endure a lot for us. Different time.
Thank you.
I'm so glad
Hare.
that you take care of him so nicely when he comes, and you just want to please him. It's a great example. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Kumari.
Thank you, Krishna Kumar.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.